Yes. Well, I am satisfied with the way I managed to win in straight sets today. It was a real test. Borna has a very similar style of the game like myself, and he had a great run in Indian Wells and Miami, so obviously coming off with a lot of confidence from those couple of tournaments, and I could see him coming into the court really believing that he can he can win the match, and it's how he played, and it was a real battle. It was a real battle. I thought, I mean, I could have won the match earlier, definitely, but you know, it was great to deal with this kind of emotions again. I mean, I haven't played too many matches in the last 9-10 months, and I'm obviously lacking that match play. But today's match, from that perspective, was perfect, you know, to affect me mentally and in a positive way.
The next two matches, you obviously Dominic Thiem and then possibly Rafael Nadal. Is that what you want at this stage, or would you prefer to have not easier opponents, but a slightly more comfortable route back into play, or is that the perfect test for you?
Well, I mean, look, the matches are going to get only tougher. I mean, I'm going to just think about Dominic. It's disrespectful towards Dominic and Dominic's tennis, you know, and quality of his tennis, especially on clay, to think about and talk about potentially matchup with Nadal. I mean, last year in Roland Garros, he beat me in straight sets, and he's definitely top 3 player in the world and on clay. And he's one of the best players in general. Coming off from an injury himself as well, a little bit that he missed Miami, but you know, he came back yesterday, I think match point down, and had a tough one himself. But as I said, you know, he's a clay court specialist. He's someone that has a very powerful game and can play from inside of the court, back of the court, spin the ball, flatten it, you know, hit a 220 kilometers per hour serve, and then have an equally effective kick serve. So he's got it all. I mean, he's got an entire game for clay, and so I got to think only about that, and whether the draw is favorable or not. I mean, it's not the best of draws, but again, it is what it is, and it's not the first time I have to face in earlier rounds, you know, some top players, and I look forward to it.
Novak, you looked so in the zone mentally today, despite the match points coming in and going. Have you changed your approach at all of this period you're going through? Was there any switch that made you back into the bubble?
Well, look, you know, I mean, I think we are all striving as professional tennis players and individual athletes, especially when you're by yourself competing and on the court, to be in that zone, to be focused and not give too much energy away, you know. Frustrations are, I mean, obviously part of the sport. I have been accustomed to those more than a few times in my career, but I've also, you know, also had some incredible comebacks as well, and I think the amount of matches that I've played in my life and the experience that I've gained over the years helps me to, you know, try to hold my composure in these moments. And it's not always the case. I mean, you get emotional sometimes, you get carried away, but you know, important thing is to bounce back. Important thing is to stay out there and really give your best, because in the end of the day, there is nothing to regret for if you give your best and if you know that you've done everything you can. So if the player is better, you just shake his hand.
Novak, I know these are early days, but do you believe that you can get back to where you were, that you can be world #1 again, that you can win Grand Slams?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you and competing in this tournament if I didn't believe that I can do that, and if my intentions are not like that. So I mean, I definitely want to and always wanted to, and being in that position already and having achieved so much just you know, gives me enough reason to believe that I can make it again. And I know that I'm not 20 anymore. You know, it's different now, but I still feel like I have a lot of juice in my legs, and I can that I can play really well and compete. I mean, there's a new generation of players coming up. I've played against one of them today, and it's great for tennis. I mean, eventually it had to come. I mean, we talked about it for so many years. You know, the big four, and whether, you know, anyone else will win a slam or not. And you know, I mean, eventually it's gonna come. And I just hope that I'll be healthy. You know, that's the most important thing, because I know when I'm healthy, and when I'm not dealing with any significant injury that can disturb me on the way to, you know, compete and train, then I can really, you know, reach that desired level.
Novak, there was a theory I saw going around that you'd taken some weight off the racket to lighten the load on your elbow. Is there anything in that?
Yes, I've changed the racket earlier this year. I mean, changed it. The model is the same. I've made some adjustments, so to say. I made some small, you know, minor changes that actually, in our world, are quite significant. Yeah. But I felt, and also Agassi and Racket, who worked with me at that time, felt that that was a good call for big picture and for a long run. So you know, I feel more comfortable with the racket as I go along. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time. I think Roger some years ago also had that racket change, and it took him a little bit, you know, some months to get comfortable with it. But if you think about the big picture, if you think about certain parts of your game that you want to maybe improve, and that maybe the technology, the racket, can help you with that, why not? I mean, it was a big call. I mean, I changed the I think back in 2009 I went from Wilson to Head, and it took me, I think, a year and something to really find the right dimensions, swing weight, balance, all these specifications that were suitable to my style of the game. I think only in 2010, second quarter of 2010, I started to play with the racket that I played with all the way till end of last year. So I'm still with the same racket as a whole, but I did make certain changes.
Did you lose any power?
Excuse me?
Did you lose any power? Or?
No, I mean, it feels like I gained more power, especially on the serve, and I gained more angle. And look, you know, it's the racket is the most important tool that we have, but it's not more important than our body and our mind and our movements. And so it is a tool that helps, but it doesn't play for you.
That's one here.
Yes, ciao. Congratulations. It was a nice match, difficult to understand sometimes when you were saving many break points with serving very well. Then when you had match points, 9 match points, not so well. So is that more psychological?
Did you see my first serve stat on the match points?
No, I didn't see that.
Well, I made, I think, 7 out of 8 on the wide advantage side when I had match points. I made all my first serves.
Yeah,
So? You're saying it's not so good. Well, I made all my first serves. Well, he made his returns, and we got into the rally, and he made, you know, he made me run, and from that side where he was returning, there was a slight breeze, kind of playing downhill, so he was making me run, and I was working twice as hard than on the other side, and got a little bit of tight, obviously, and it resulted with a break loss.
Thank you.
Thank you.